Hey guys, welcome back to BULLISH Capital. On today's video, we're gonna go through the weekly watch list and we're also gonna take a look at the market update. This is gonna be the first update and weekly watch list for the month of April. And if you guys are familiar with seasonality, well, April is one of the most bullish months in terms of seasonality. I think that April has been up almost, I think it's more than 80% of the time. I will have to check back on those stats, but definitely a very bullish month. And if we take a look at the charts, that we're gonna do that in a second, we're gonna see that the charts are looking pretty bullish. So welcome back guys to the channel. Remember that if you haven't done that already, remember to like and subscribe, and also follow me on my Twitter account at BULLISH Capital. And remember that this video is for informational purposes only and is not financial advice. So let's go directly into the charts. Right here I have the SPY, and as many of you guys know, I think that the SPY is the most important chart. You can use the ES futures, you can use the SPX. I like to take a look at the SPY, and I also like to take a look at the SPX. But let's go with the SPY here because I think that is giving a very clear signal of what we could expect for next week. So let me just grab my drawing tools here. And first of all, if you go back and check the last week update that we did on the channel, you will see that I was pretty bullish, right? I was looking for higher prices here in the SPY. We got the move, but the signals were there, right? So if you can see right here, the momentum indicator that I have on my charts had a buy signal right here on this day right here, and you can see that the squeeze was also pointing to the upside. So those were a little bit of clues in terms of momentum. But of course, the most important thing is price action. And what was happening with price action that we have to take a look at is that if we do an anchor VWAP from the low right here, you can see that price was respecting that anchor VWAP all the way to the moving averages right here. You can see that we have buyers here, buyers here, buyers here, and buyers here as well. And you can see that the price came close above that 8 exponential, above this 21 right here. And of course, you can see that the two moving averages were starting to, the moat, which is basically the distance between the two moving averages, was starting to come together. And that's actually a pretty bullish, constructive signal for a reversal in the short-term trend. And that's exactly what we had. And you can see that the SPY had an absolutely gigantic bullish week that we saw, and this is a huge ignite candle that we have right here. So what is the expectation for next week in terms of the SPY? So the expectation is to see more continuation from this squeeze. You can see that the squeeze is starting to fire to the upside, and when we have a squeeze that fires to the upside, same as we had right here, you can see that we had a very strong move to the upside. So the expectation, of course, is to see continuation, but given that we had a very strong move all the way to 410, I'm gonna expect a little bit of a pause in the SPY. You can see that we are really extended from the 8 exponential moving average and the 21 exponential moving average. And if you want to learn more about those moving averages, I made a couple of videos and you can find those links in the description below. So this one is actually looking pretty bullish. I wouldn't be bearish at all. The price action is bullish, the momentum indicators are bullish. But the question is, I don't want to chase the SPY right here, right? We don't want to chase it all the way into resistance at 410. You can see that we had a lot of selling at this level right here. And of course, we're breaking out. But most of the times we tend to see a little bit of pullback. Perhaps we're going to hold this level right here, which is somewhere around 405. And then we're going to see the continuation to the upside. So in terms of the levels, what are the levels that I'm watching for next week? Because that's really important. So the levels that I'm going to be watching for next week is going to be this 405 level. That's going to be the support level that I'm going to be watching, or perhaps 403.70. If we happen to close this gap below, that's going to be definitely the level of support. And then of course, watching that 8 exponential moving average to see if we happen to see that 8 rising a little bit, catching up with price, then perhaps see the pullback into that demand level that we have, and also the moving average, and then a continuation to the upside. And of course, the target is going to be these basically the highs that we had on February. That's going to be the first target in the SPY, and then of course we're going to see how it's trading around those levels, and then we're going to make a decision if we're actually going to see continuation. But the easy move is going to be all the way right here into supply, which is somewhere around that 420 level that we had in the SPY. And once again, support is going to be somewhere around 405, but this is looking pretty bullish, and I think we're going to have a pretty bullish month of April. Now let's jump into the weekly watch list, but before doing that, let's take a look at the QQQ. And the QQQ, right, this was a pretty strong move, and if you follow me on my Twitter account, you know that I was talking a lot about the QQQ somewhere around here, and of course somewhere around here as well. We were talking about it. We took a couple of trades, right? We took a couple of trades in this move right here. And then, of course, we took a lot of trades in some mega caps when the QQQ was forming this kind of a cup and handle pattern. You can see right here the cup and handle pattern that we had in the Qs, which is basically just the psychology behind a cup and handle pattern is the following. When you have a cup and handle, basically what you're saying is that you're starting to have higher lows going into resistance, and that basically translates into buyers getting more aggressive towards resistance, and then sellers losing the control towards resistance, and that is usually the moment when we tend to see these breakouts, and that's exactly what's happening here in the QQQ. But of course, this is a huge level of resistance, this is a huge level of supply, and we have to be aware of that. If you're asking where I'm getting this supply, well, let's just zoom out a little bit here. You can see that the supply is coming right here into this very strong candle that we have somewhere around September. And that's the level that I'm watching. And of course, we do have a gap open. That gap open comes somewhere around 322.86. And then, of course, it's going to be a huge level of resistance as well. Price tends to move, tends to fill those gaps, and then tends to pull back. So just be very aware of that. If we happen to get a gap up on Monday, be very aware of the level in the QQQ, which is 322.86. Now, what is the expectation? The expectation is to see a little bit of a consolidation below this level right here. Then perhaps we are going to be able to see the moving averages, the 21 exponential and the 8 exponential catching a little bit up with price. And then, of course, the expectation is to see a little bit of consolidation here, perhaps a bull flag, perhaps some sort of pattern, some basing pattern, and then of course looking for continuation all the way to 330. That's going to be the final target. And if we zoom out here a little bit, you're going to see that level is basically the highs that we had back on August 2022. So that's going to be basically the target that I'm going to be watching for the QQQ. And we have the pattern for it, which is really important, because you can see that we had the base and now we're starting to see the breakout. So we have a very strong pattern for continuation to the upside, but looking for a little bit of pause before following the move. So now let's jump into the watch list, and the names that I'm going to share with you. Of all these names, you can see right here the watch list if you want to take a screenshot. I have ARK, I have Google, I have SMH, AMD, Visa, and I also have Tesla. The ones that I want to share with you in this video are going to be the ones that I consider to be the best ones, and that's going to be ARK, Google, SMH, and AMD. So let's start here with ARK, which is looking pretty interesting, and I'm going to tell you why. So if we take a look at ARK here, it's really important to take into consideration that here we have the 200 daily moving average. The 200 daily moving average, the expectation was for that moving average to act as a very important level of resistance, and it has. But you can see right here that ARK didn't get rejected completely from that moving average. But ARK is trying to form a basing pattern and perhaps a reversal pattern around that moving average. If you study stage analysis, you know that we tend to see very strong reversal patterns around the 200 daily moving average when we are about to change from stage 4 or stage 1 accumulation into a possible stage 2, which is basically the continuation to the upside. So the expectation here, and of course, let's talk about the short term, what I'm expecting for next week. You can see right here that we have a squeeze. The squeeze is starting to point to the upside, which is actually pretty constructive. You can see that I also have a buy signal in the momentum indicator. And if you're asking, if you're looking for an indicator that can give you buy and sell signals, I recommend the MACD. It's a really good indicator. And this one that I have right here is very similar to the MACD. Just use the daily settings, use the regular settings, which I think is 12 12, 26, and 9, I think those are the regular settings, you will be able to get the buy and sell signals for momentum as well. And then of course the squeeze, the TTM squeeze, you can see that here it is rising, which is pretty constructive. And what I really like about ARK is that we are starting to test this level back again, which this level is somewhere around 40.34. And I'm looking actually for perhaps to see a little bit of tightness below that level. And then of course, I'm looking for a very strong continuation to the upside. The first target is going to be 41.86. And then the second target is going to be the supply level, which is somewhere around 43.50. So this one is looking pretty constructive. I think you can play it with ARK, or if you're feeling a little bit adventurous, of course you can trade it with TARK, which is this one is the 2x leverage ETF for ARK. So this one tends to move a lot and it's actually pretty liquid. So you can definitely trade this one as well. So that's going to be the first name, which is ARK. Let's take a look at Google here, which is looking fantastic. Now Google, you can see that we actually had a pretty strong move to the upside. This was a gigantic move. From this basing pattern that we had. You can see that we had the squeeze, we had the buy signal, we came above that 200 daily moving average. So this is the part that I really like about Google. You can see right here that the 200 daily moving average was resistance. Then of course we have some selling, and now you can see that the 200 acted a little bit of a resistance. You can see that we had this base and break pattern, we had the extension, and now we're starting to hold the 200 daily moving average. So I'm definitely looking at least for a retest of these highs, but the ultimate target is going to be a close of this gap that we have above, which is at 110. So this one is looking pretty amazing. If we happen to see a little bit of consolidation below this DTL, which is basically the trend line that is forming the flag, if we happen to see a little bit of consolidation here, then of course I'm going to be looking to buy Google for a continuation to the upside. This one is looking pretty fantastic, and I'm looking to grab some Google next week. Let's take a look at SMH. SMH is pretty fantastic. I think that this is probably one of the strongest ETFs and one of the strongest sectors that we have, right? We have Nvidia that is actually up, I think, somewhere around 90% or more this year. So this is actually pretty amazing. So what I'm watching in SMH is actually pretty easy as well. You can see that we're starting to break out here, but I don't think that we're just gonna continue to the upside. Given the verticality of these bounce, you can see that we basically have like kind of a V-shaped bounce. Right, given the verticality, I'm expecting a little bit of a basing pattern here. Perhaps we're gonna get some sort of flag as this 8 exponential catches up. Perhaps this 21 exponential catches up a little bit with price, and then of course I'm gonna be looking for continuation. The first target is gonna be 270. That's gonna be the easy target where the easy money is gonna be made, and then of course I'm gonna be looking to grab a little bit of SMH as close to that 8 exponential moving average as possible. And the trading vehicle that I'm going to use is going to be the SOXL, and you can see that the SOXL is forming a really nice base here. If we happen to see a little bit of a pullback, then I'm going to be expecting that breakout to play out really nice here in the SOXL. And then finally, guys, the final setup is going to be AMD. This one is also looking pretty amazing. You can see that we had this base, we had the breakout, and now that we tag that 100 psychological level of resistance and of course some supply, we're starting to form a really constructive pattern here. You see that we're starting to base a little bit without losing much of the gains that we made. So that's actually pretty constructive. That means that buyers continue to support price. You can see that we're holding this anchor VWAP from this low that happened before the rally. So that's actually pretty constructive. And you can see the 21 exponential, which is catching up with price. So I think that if you can grab AMD somewhere around this 94, 95 level, I think that's a great level to manage risk and then look for continuation. At least to that 105 level, perhaps we're gonna see 1010. We're gonna see 110 in AMD. So it's gonna be the setups that I'm gonna be sharing for this week, guys. In summary, I'm looking for continuation in April. April is a very bullish month, and then of course those are the setups that I'm gonna be watching. Remember that you don't need to look at a 1,000 setups. Just have 4 or 5 setups that you know what are the levels that you're gonna execute on. So make sure to keep it simple, keep it really simple. because right now that we're seeing a lot of setups, and you can literally get paralyzed and don't execute if you're watching too many things. So always remember that, just have a couple of setups that you want to execute and just execute on those and take care of that basket. So once again, thank you so much guys for watching, and I will see you on future videos. Take care and bye bye.